Shannon, hey, congratulations on the end of the line, Women of Standing Rock.
Thank you so much. We're excited to finally have this film get seen.
Hey, so let's start off with the easy question. How does it feel that this film is being showcased at Slamdance this year?
It feels awesome. You know, when I told my partners over in Finland that we got Slamdance, they were really excited because it's recognized in Europe as well as being a great festival. And quite frankly, I cried when I got the news because this has been a long journey, a lot of lack of support by the mainstream media and Hollywood. And so to finally have someone recognize that this is a story that needs to be seen, it was just overwhelming in an awesome way.
That's excellent to hear. So what actually sparked you to do such a riveting documentary like this? That's such an important subject.
I actually have wanted to cover this topic since I was 18 years old. I grew up in far northern Wisconsin, where there was so much violence against natives. It was not uncommon to have people get killed because they were spearfishing, for instance, and for there to be no justice for those deaths. There was violence in my school against people with backgrounds that were not, you know, the stereotypical white family. And I saw it in my own family because I have Ojibwa family members, and I saw how they were even treated unfairly compared to others. And so it's something I observed for a long time. And when Standing Rock happened, I thought, okay, this is a wonderful opportunity to show the world what we really keep as a dirty little secret in the US.
So how did you actually start all this? Because there's one thing to to support the protesters, but there's another thing to actually film at the event. So when did it start, and what process did you actually go through?
So Pearl Daniel Means and I, my co-producer, we have three women behind this film, actually. Pearl, myself, and a woman called Sophia and Erin Ruth from Finland. We had initially talked that we really need to cover this story. And we've said all along that we feel that the project chose us versus us it felt like a weird calling, like we had to go. And so that was way back in August of 2016. And by beginning of September 2016, we were on the ground rolling. And it was a really strange experience in that it felt so awesome to be out at Standing Rock with more than 10,000 people from around the world who were so supportive and creating this inclusive community. But then at the same time to be getting death threats on my email and on my social media and having that scrutiny. And of course, because I'm very white. And, why are you telling this story? Who are you to tell this, etc. So it was a little bit daunting in the beginning, but I'm so glad we stuck it out because I think the end result is a really illuminating film.
So how did you choose your interview subjects, and was it easy to convince them, to gain their trust?
It was not easy to convince them. So I was blessed to have given the last documentary interview to American Indian legend Russell Means. And Pearl Daniel Means and I became very close friends at that point. So we had a good decade of history between the two of us. And because the women who were behind the initial protest were Russell's sisters and nieces, Pearl said, we're coming out there. We'd love for you to be in our film. And this is my co-producer, Shannon. They really trusted me initially because of that. And though reluctantly, Washdewi Young, one of our main stars in the film, said, I was still really reluctant, but my mom, Phyllis Young, who's another lead character, she said, do it out of respect for your Uncle Russ. And Washdewi said, okay. Then she got me. So reluctantly, she said she trusted me. And it was something that we had to build over time. How we chose them is because these were the leaders. And we really wanted to be at the heart of this movement. And wow, these women are really inspiring.
I love the fact that you are female filmmakers making a documentary on women on the subject, but at which point during the process you decided to say, you know what? This is a female's perspective, because Standing Rock, there's all kinds of leaders at Standing Rock, from my understanding, but you managed to focus on this group?
Well, in the Native tradition, the women are the guardians of the water, the protectors of the water. And so from that perspective, it made sense to cover them. Now, what's not so typical is having a story about women, ages 20, mid-20s up into mid-80s, and then having women, you know, pretty much in every lead role on this film, including editor. It was really tough, to be honest, because though there have been a lot of strides, I think we're between now 2 and 4%, depending on where you read the stats, of filmmakers are women now. We didn't get the support for this particular topic, especially that we had hoped. We heard everything from, you know, this will be career suicide for you to tell this story, to, and this is my personal favorite, one of the biggest film festivals in the world. We talked to one of their programmers and we said, what is it going to take for you to take this film? And this man said to us, if you ladies would like to get this shown with us, we suggest that you find an A-list male to vouch for you. And those are the words, A-list male and vouch for you. And I said, and shy of that, he said, you won't be seen by our festival. So we were so excited when Slamdance said they wanted us, because, you know, it's unique to have this perspective told by women and about women. And sadly, this industry still has a lot of discrimination against Indigenous people and women in general.
Now, tell me about your production struggles, because it felt like you were there the whole time. Did you guys actually like camp there for 4 or 5 years?
We were out there. We were out there for about 7 months. On the ground during the protests themselves. And then we continued to tell the story, because to me, it was at least as fascinating to watch what happened to these women's lives after, because of course their lives were transformed. Though the mainstream media wasn't covering this, there was enough with social media especially, and people like Amy Goodman of Democracy Now! Covering the story, that all of a sudden these women are thrust into the spotlight. So to watch how their lives shifted was really fascinating. And then to see how they didn't give up, even when the pipeline went through, what they did in the aftermath. So from a production perspective, it was really about sitting back and watching the whole process, though vigilantly, because of course people were getting their footage stolen, people were being manhandled. I was interrogated, but they didn't take my footage, thankfully. And we had to be really careful during the making of this to protect all of the intellectual property and to guard our characters as well, because once they became known, it was really tough. You know, we all got a lot of death threats and that sort of thing.
I did notice that you used some footage from Democracy Now! Was it easy to convince them to collaborate, to have them let you use the footage for your film?
It was. They were awesome. You know, without their coverage, I wouldn't have ended up at Standing Rock. It was because I was living out of the country. I was living in Honduras at the time, covering human rights abuses in Honduras, that my parents were sending me Amy's footage. And I believe strongly that without her coverage, no one would have shown up like they did. And so they were great to work with. They did an interview with us, and it's our hope that they also cover our film very soon.
Now tell me about the footage for the protests themselves, because some of this video was in the midst of things. Were they other people's footage, or was it actually your footage?
Yeah, both. So we worked with other filmmakers. There was a lot of sharing of footage. So for instance, there were some amazing Indigenous filmmakers like Myron Dewey, who gave us a lot of footage, who was at the heart of a lot of the key actions with his drone. He had a lot of drones that were shot down and stolen, but he also made out with a lot of great footage. And then we had a lot of the more gentle behind the scenes footage, because a lot of people were covering understandably, the really violent actions. We were going for a bit of a different feel. And so we had to source some of that footage. And that was a cool thing about Standing Rock, was the teamwork out there. We were all helping each other with simple things like, hey, we need more power, or do you have a signal on your phone? You know, on up to, like I said, sharing footage.
Now, for you and your production crew, because you are in the midst of this battle with law enforcement, were there any point that was scary, or you felt like you were in danger? Because you know there was like smoke and pepper spray and rubber bullets flying all over the place, or were you just completely safe?
I think you have to be slightly delusional to get into this type of filmmaking to begin with. You have like probably an adrenaline problem and that sort of thing. So I really don't think, when I'm covering something, it's only after that I look and think, wow, that was really stupid, or I could have really been hurt. But in the moment, I don't even think. And I know that that was the case of our lead camera person as well, to where we were just in the moment, so determined to tell the story that we didn't think of it. Like I said, after we thought about it, and you know, like, wow, it's amazing we didn't get shot, or it's amazing we made out of that with our footage. You know, it was a very violent, as you see in the film, it was a very violent environment, but it was also one of a lot of strength and resilience and encouragement as well.
I do actually admit that your dedication to this, you know, to this topic is very admirable. Not only that, you continued on where the journey where they actually went all the way to the United Nations and so on. Well, why did you want to go also to that route, to show that side of the story on how they're going to continue to fight?
I think it's important that people see that this is an ongoing problem, what happens to the indigenous people, actually not just in the Americas, but around the world, because they tend to live on beautiful protected lands that have riches that other people want to exploit. And so, you know, it's always a tricky scenario, right? To tell these stories, but then get them seen. I can't tell you the number of awesome films that I've watched that never saw the light of day. And so if there's no getting the word out there and affecting any sort of social change, to me, there's really no point in doing the story. So our goal from the beginning was always to try to get an audience with policymakers. And we're going to continue to do that now that the film is complete. Hopefully get some lasting change enacted as a result of these amazing women who have dedicated their lives to, you know, getting some fair treatment.
What do you think about the timing of it now? Because the presidency has actually changed hands, and reportedly President Biden has issued an executive order to stop the pipeline. Are you basically saying we still need to raise awareness? The battle's not over?
Absolutely. You know, people will see in the film Obama saying, we're going to do the right thing here, and then him kind of backtracking. Then we saw Trump come in and right after he took office to say, you know, I just closed my eyes and signed. And now we're hearing that things are going to go in the favor of, you know, the people who are protecting the land and waters. But, you know, I guess I've been on this journey long enough that I see that a lot of words are spoken and action needs to happen and to be proven. And so I've become a bit cynical in that way, I guess. Until I see it happen, I'm not going to believe it. And also with the pipeline, there were many rulings where it's like, yay, let's celebrate, it's gone in our favor. And then, you know, a couple months down the line, it's retracted. And so it's still a journey that needs to unfold.
And that's the reason why people would still need to watch this film. It's not that it's going to go by the wayside. It's still going to be always relevant. Am I correct?
Right. And it's really a film about resilience in general. And it's an inspiring story, though the outcome of the pipeline wasn't what any of us had hoped. I think we can all learn something about being resilient, being strong, getting stronger and stronger in the face of these horrible obstacles. I think the things that the women bring up and exemplify in this film are things that we can all apply, especially in this day and age where we're all struggling with a new reality. I think it would be really good for us to heed their example of how to be an amazing person despite the worst challenges.
And for you personally, have you been keeping in contact with the women of your documentary?
I keep in touch with the women daily. It's amazing to think of, you know, where we started. Because they had microphones on, right? So I'd hear them say like, oh, F Shannon, I don't want to talk today. Or, you know, oh, she thinks we're going to tell her that, you know, forget that, you know, to see that. Or just to see in general how close they were. And now to look at them, you know, they call me Mashke, which means sister, which, you know, is something that's really meaningful to me. And I learn from them every day. And they're really funny. I wish I could have gotten more of the humor. The Lakota have an amazing sense of humor. And they say once they start picking on you, you've been accepted. So I can say I've been accepted now.
That is terrific to hear, and thank you for making it so personal. But let me wrap it up with one more question. As the audiences of Slamdance get to check out your film, and hopefully you'll get distribution for, you know, more eyes on this film. What is the one take that you hope that people would actually walk away with after viewing your documentary?
I would hope that they would walk away with saying that we need to have some sort of effort to acknowledge what has been done and continues to be done to these people, and to have some sort of efforts to be made by way of reconciliation. That's a really tough topic, and people debate, can there be any reconciliation between the white man and the natives? You know, the jury's out on that, but I'd love to see people try. Without us admitting what has happened and what continues to happen, there's no hope for any healing to take place. And my ultimate goal would be that there would be some healing.
That is terrific. I think that's a great message, Shannon. And before I let you go, show off your earrings there.
These are made by Holly Young, a Lakota artist. They are made out of horsehair and dentalium, and they're beautiful, and I love them, and I wear them to raise awareness of the amazing art that comes out of that part of the country as well.
That is terrific. You are a supporter till the end. Hey, thank you very much, Shannon. I really appreciate it. And congratulations for having this showcase at Slamdance this year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye.